Many people have requested I do a story on this guy, and I must admit, I was excited to feature one of my guys, but also conflicted because I really wanted to see him become the things I and so many thought he could be in the NBA. Salute to my guy on Instagram, 88Builder, who's been waiting a while for this one, and salute to Nairi Irvin as well for this request. And salute to all you guys that consistently watch the videos and are subbed and comment, man. We reached 5K. Sincere thanks to every single one of you. Got something special planned for not just one of you either, so stay tuned. And to all that are new to the channel, please like this video, subscribe, and get in the comment box and let me know your thoughts. I'm trying to get this channel to 10,000 subs by the end of summer in order to fulfill that surprise I have coming. So please help a brother out. Now let's get to the video you came to see. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Get it. Chris Douglas Roberts, born January 8th, 1987. Skateboarder, investor, self-proclaimed wave god, highly misunderstood, and I think I understand why. But first, let's get this clear. The NBA is a job. Yes, a high-paying job that garners a lot of clout and puts you on a pedestal in the eyes of many, but a job nonetheless, ran by people or a person not yourself and not necessarily your dream. Yes, you dream of getting to the NBA, but ultimately, you're building someone else's vision. In this life, some people don't strive for a life being under the thumb and rule of another person, being told when to come into work, what you can and cannot say, sharing with others, and making some businessman really rich. I completely understand that, and after sitting and researching this guy, I believe he understands that as well. More than that, I think he's living that. When one door shuts, it's imperative you understand how to move on to another without hesitation. It's either that or continue knocking while everyone else passes you by. It's a really thin line. Chris is from Detroit, Michigan and was a star for Cass Tech in 2003 and 2004. He would then transfer to Northwestern High School where he would average 13 points per game and 5 rebounds, finishing his career there. Considered a 4-star recruit, Roberts was still recruited by big-time schools like Arizona, Memphis, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and a host of others. He would go on to select the Memphis Tigers in 2005, coached by John Calipari. In his first season for the Tigers, Roberts showed signs of being really special, averaging 8 points per game and 3 rebounds while making the all-freshman team in the Conference USA. In his sophomore year, though, is where he really began to shine. But one thing was all too clear. Stunt number 1, evolution. What a word. A word so important to our existence, whether you play the sport of basketball or not. Everything changes with time, whether by getting better or becoming a less impressive version of itself. From my observations, the key to having a long career in the sport of basketball is learning how to evolve in a positive way and not allowing yourself to become a less impressive version of said self. By Chris's sophomore year in college, he seemed to figure out the college game and started to inflict his dominance on it. At 6'7", he could score with the best of them by using his creativity and his deceptive knack for getting to the rim. And get to the rim is something he did efficiently and on a consistent basis, shooting well over 50% from the field in every season as an amateur. He also possessed a deadly mid-range game. He started every game in his second year and was very productive, to the tune of 15.4 points and shot 32% from 3, all in just 26 minutes a game. What he didn't do, however, was pretty much anything else, not rebound, assist, or shoot that well from the free throw line. We'll talk more about that real soon. In his junior season, he completely took off. With the acquisition of the nation's #1 point guard and suspected #1 pick in the following draft, Derrick Rose, Memphis became the most watched school in college, period. How lucky for Chris, right? Right. It placed a much needed spotlight on him and introduced him to the world. In 2008, the Memphis Tigers shocked the college world and made it all the way to the national championship game, led by their young phenom point guard, but also their lethal scorer, CDR, who upped his scoring from 18 points per game to almost 24 points per game in the NCAA tournament. But in the final seconds, CDR would make a few crucial mistakes that allowed the Jayhawks to creep right back into the game and eventually win it, missing a crucial jumper and missing 3 free throws down the stretch. One of the areas his game just never evolved. He was never a good free throw shooter in college, and in the most important game for him at that point, that lack of involvement let him down. It would prove to let him down even more as he moved forward in his career by becoming solely a scorer and nothing else. If he's not scoring, he's basically useless to a team, especially in a day where scorers are a dime a dozen. Point guards are leading the league in scoring now, so to be a wing that hasn't evolved to do more really put him in a tough situation. Stunt number 2, discipline. CDR would announce he was leaving Memphis and placing his name in the 2008 NBA Draft. A great move after all the hype that surrounded him that season. It really was a no-brainer. He would slip to the second round at 40th to the New Jersey Nets. In his first season, he'd find himself playing behind Vince Carter and in a situation where his game would have to change to be successful. That's the problem with change though. It's not easy and it's not for everyone. Change is inevitable, but some people are either afraid or too stubborn to, especially when we're talking about a sport where ego plays a major role. Roberts was now a backup who'd sometimes not even get into the game, vastly different from his college days. But you see, there was his opportunity to add something different to his game, and he didn't. Vince is the scorer, right? So how about you work on your defense and try to become a two-way player since you can already score at will? Stop working all summer on offensive moves and dominate on the defensive end. They'll have to play you then, but that takes discipline to make that change. What he did change is in college, he was a killer from the mid-range and just finding ways to get to the rim. In the NBA, he completely changed that and began shooting more threes, which he was horrible at, and taking wild shots. He would be traded after his second season in New Jersey to the Milwaukee Bucks, after a season where he averaged a career high in points per game, but really not much else. His new team, though, was much more discipline-oriented, ran by the even more structured Scott Skiles. Douglas would see less minutes there and also dealt with an eye injury that sidelined him for enough time to see another guy in John Salmis step right into his projected role. Stunt number 3, everybody moves on. And the biggest stunt of my man CDR's career is simple. The game kept evolving and he wasn't. And also, he decided to move on with his life as well and pursue other dreams. I commend him for that because he seems much more comfortable, has grew his hair out now, smokes weed, and is a lot more focused on the grind of becoming a businessman. That's admirable, and I love the work he's doing. I just hope he continues to be consistent and push it to the next level. Roberts would leave the Bucks and go on to play in Italy, back to the league for short stints, but it was clear things was just not going to work out. He was a skinny guy that was tall, but didn't really use his height to do anything other than try and score. I love what he's got going on off the court though, and I really like him more in this new life that he's got going. Hope to see more of it. I know many are confused with his decision and wish he kept trying, and a few even believe he was blackballed. I disagree, man. I think there's just no spot for an aging guy that's streaky and only gets hot when a team's centered around him. There's just too many other options that do more things suited for the game today. Wish him all the best in his life, and I mess with CDR the man a great deal. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.